Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight into quite a firestorm, really, the one that blew up over the July 2025 jobs report.
Yeah, it was pretty intense.
It wasn't just the numbers, though. It was the really dramatic removal of BLS Commissioner Erica McIntarfer literally the same day.
Right. That definitely escalated things.
And it sort of exposed these two colliding problems, didn't it? One's technical, these huge revisions to the job numbers,
Mm-hmm.
and the other's, well, civic. This impulsive political reaction that really risks politicizing an independent agency.
Exactly. That independence is key.
So our mission today is simple. Cut through all that noise so you, our listener, can get a clear picture of what actually happened, why it really matters, and, what principles are on the line here.
Sounds good.
Okay, so the heart of it all. The July 2025 jobs report. The BLS, that's the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they reported a headline gain of only 73,000 payroll jobs, which, isn't huge.
Pretty weak, yeah.
But here's the real kicker. At the same time, they announced these massive downward revisions for previous months. May, which was reported as plus 144,000 jobs, slashed down to just 19,000.
Wow.
And June, originally plus 147,000, revised down to only 14,000 jobs.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
substantial.
totally. These changes wiped out a combined, 258,000 jobs from the previous picture? It completely changed the story of recent hiring.
It really did. Now, revisions happen all the time. That's normal.
Right, but the scale here,
Hmm.
it didn't just change if a month looked good or bad. It shifted the whole trend, the policy narratives everyone was talking about.
And that's bound to cause some confusion, even distrust, when the first headlines look so different later on. Understandably so.
And then that massive revision, it led straight to this very public, very loud reaction from the president, calling the report a scam, ordering the commissioner's removal.
Which immediately sparked this intense debate, didn't it?
Yeah. Is a president ever justified pushing back like that, or does it always cross the line?
Well, that really raises a critical question. Because on one hand, you could argue a chief executive is responsible for institutional credibility, right? Making sure the public trusts the numbers.
Okay, I can see that argument.
But the flip side is summarily firing a statistical chief over technical revisions. That seriously risks politicizing an office that's designed to be insulated from politics.
To be independent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that independence is crucial for the data itself to be trusted.
So maybe we should peek behind the curtain. How does the BLS actually work?
Yeah, good idea. Fundamentally, they combine two big independent surveys. There's the household survey, they actually ask people about their jobs.
Okay.
And the establishment survey, which gets payroll data directly from businesses. Their methods are all out there, transparent. And crucially, the commissioner doesn't just flip a switch and get a number.
It's not one person's call.
No, it's very decentralized. But here's something important. This idea of methodological inertia. Institutions, they can be slow sometimes. Slow to test new ways of measuring things, slow to bring in different data sources, or even just question old seasonal models.
So they can get stuck in their ways a bit.
Kind of. And that inertia can make them vulnerable to these big, surprising revisions when reality or new data finally forces an update.
Ah, okay.
Meanwhile, you've got the private sector developing all this alternative data, things like real-time payroll processing info or tracking online job
Some
ads.
stuff that moves faster.
Exactly. It can be noisy, less stable maybe, but it's super valuable for what we call triangulation, just checking your main numbers against other sources. Public agencies really should engage more with that, maybe publish comparisons or experimental data series.
That makes sense. Another point of friction seems to be different perspectives, right? Politicians often focus on specific sectors like manufacturing jobs.
Right. Blue-collar hiring, maybe.
But the BLS numbers are aggregate. They cover everything. Service jobs, government jobs, the whole economy.
And those differences in what's being counted the composition can definitely fuel misunderstandings if it's not spelled out clearly.
So it's not always comparing apples to apples.
Precisely. And it's just critical to remember that understanding the economy isn't like taking a perfect snapshot. It's much more like forecasting the weather.
Built on models, probabilities.
Exactly. So you can't just grab one monthly number and treat it as the absolute final truth. The whole scientific approach involves stating your assumptions, publishing your data, showing the uncertainty, welcoming other models.
Which is pretty different from a political debate that just boils down to good number or bad number.
Very different. It often descends into slogans, doesn't it?
Yeah. So let's bring it back to the listener. What does all this mean for you trying to get reliable, nonpartisan data?
Well, we need what you might call meaningful accountability, and that has two sides. There's the principled side, resisting politically motivated firings that undermine independence.
Right, protect the integrity.
And then there's the technical side. Better audits, being clearer about how uncertain the numbers might be, stronger benchmarking against other data, and frankly, better funding for these agencies.
Sensible reforms seem possible then, like independent reviews, maybe.
Absolutely. Independent external reviews, making detailed microdata available faster, perhaps even stronger congressional safeguards. These are all reasonable steps.
It sounds like the goal should be a more method-centered dialogue.
I think that's a great way to put it. If one side thinks alternative data tells a better story, fine, publish it, show your work, let others check it.
And if the BLS needs updating?
Then let's update it, fund it, and do it openly. It's about putting competing claims out there with the evidence, letting independent scrutiny sort it out, rather than just firing someone or blindly accepting the status quo.
So looking at the big picture here.
Yeah, I think two things can be true at once, can't they? The unusually large downward revisions we saw, they absolutely justified some serious methodological questions and scrutiny for the BLS. That's fair.
Okay.
But at the same time, the abrupt firing of the commissioner does risk eroding trust in the very nonpartisan institutions we need for informed public debate. Both things can be true.
So the final thought for you, our listener, how can we as a society maybe channel some of that political heat, that outrage, into a cooler, more published debate focused on the methods? What does it look like for you to demand better methods, more transparency, and maybe a more measured tone all around to keep both our data and our democracy working effectively? Something to definitely think about.